Trying to navigate the legal system can feel like you're lost in a maze with no map, right? Especially when your freedom is on the line. Today, we're going to look at a very specific roadmap for folks in Hawaii who are on what's called conditional release. It's a program called CRST, and it's designed to offer a clear path to getting a full discharge. So let's dive in and see how it all works. All right, so first things first, what exactly is conditional release? Well, think of it like this. A court says, okay, you can live out in the community, but, and this is a big but, it's under very strict supervision and a whole list of rules. It's definitely a path forward, but that final destination, that finish line, can feel a little invisible.
So that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? If you're in this situation, how do you actually find your way to that finish line? How do you get a full discharge? It's not just about following the rules day to day. It's really about proving that you have a solid, stable plan for your future. And that is exactly where the CREST program steps in.
Well, it turns out the answer is all about finding the right map. And for a lot of people in Hawaii, that map is the CRS program. So let's zoom in and take a closer look at what it's all about. Okay, so the mission of the CRS program is super specific. The official description says it provides, quote, advocacy and support for outpatient consumers on conditional release who are ready to progress toward and transition to discharge. And that phrase, ready to progress, is the key. This program is for people who are actively really working towards that full discharge. It's not a passive thing. So what do you actually do in this program? Well, it's a group program that runs for multiple sessions, and it has this really cool two-pronged approach. First, it helps you finally make sense of that legal maze you're in. And second, which is just as critical, it gives you the practical life skills you're going to need to really succeed after you get discharged and you're fully on your own. And that brings us to the core of the whole thing. Think of it like you're getting ready for a really important hike. You can't just show up. You need the right gear, the right training. So let's get into the nitty-gritty and look at the skills toolkit that CRE helps you build. The program is incredibly practical. It covers the stuff you'd expect, like finally understanding all the legal rules and planning for what life is going to look like after discharge. But what I think is really key here are those other 2 points: developing crisis and coping plans and learning how to communicate with your team. Honestly, those are the skills that can make or break this whole journey, and CREST really focuses on them. And look, this is where it stops being theory and gets super practical. You actually create your own crisis plan. You sit down and you identify your personal warning signs, like maybe losing sleep or isolating yourself. You figure out your triggers, and then, most importantly, you decide ahead of time what you're going to do about it and who you're going to call in what order. This isn't just a homework assignment. It's like building your own real-world safety net. And this is huge. It's not just about writing stuff down in a notebook. You actually practice. You'll literally role-play making a phone call to your probation officer. And that might sound kind of simple, but let's be real. In the heat of the moment, those can be incredibly high-stakes conversations. Practicing it in a safe space builds the kind of muscle memory and confidence you need for when it really counts. Okay, so you've built up your skills, you've got your plan, now what? Now we get to the final steps. Let's look at the official legal path to getting that discharge. Basically, there are 2 main roads you can take to kick off the discharge process. The first is that the Director of Health files the paperwork for you. The second path is that you file the application yourself. Now, if you go that route, you're going to need some serious backup. A formal letter, or what's called an affidavit, which is just a sworn written statement from a qualified doctor or psychologist that supports your case. And you're not doing this alone. There's a whole cast of characters involved in this journey, and CREST helps you figure out how to work with every single one of them. You've got your probation officer, your treatment team, your lawyer. They're all kind of in your corner. Then you have the court examiners and the judge. They're the ones who make the final call. Knowing who does what is absolutely key to getting a good outcome. Now, you might think this process would take forever, but the legal timeline can actually be surprisingly quick. Once that application is filed, the court tries to hold a hearing and make a decision within 60 days. But, and here's the catch, if your application gets denied, you could be looking at a full year-long waiting period before you can even try again, and that's exactly why being 100% prepared is so, so important. Okay, let's talk about this number, 72. What does it mean?
Well, it's pretty serious. It represents the number of hours a probation officer can order a temporary hospitalization if they have what's called probable cause, basically a good reason to believe that you violated your conditions. It's a stark reminder of why having that crisis plan we talked about is not just a nice idea, it's absolutely essential. All right, so let's pull back and look at the big picture here. After seeing all this, why does a program like CREST matter so much? Let's talk about what it means to actually reach the destination.
The power of something like CREST is that it completely flips the script. It takes this journey from being scary and uncertain to one where you feel empowered. It takes that confusing legal maze and turns it into a step-by-step map. It gives you the skills to navigate that map and, maybe most importantly, the confidence to speak up for yourself. And when people succeed, that's a huge win for them, and it's a win for the entire community.
So I want to leave you with this final thought. We've just seen how having a clear roadmap can make a world of difference in a really complex legal system. So what if we took that same idea and applied it to other complicated systems, like healthcare or education? What if every single one of those systems was designed not just to manage people, but to actively help them succeed? Just something to think about.